Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 22 video where today we're going to be taking a look at a very simple but very effective formation this year in FIFA, and it is the 4-4-2. This is a very popular formation, certainly something that I've come up against quite a lot, and it's very easy to use because it is very simple. Obviously it has just a straight back four, a very flat midfield, two guys up top. There's no complicated DMs or cams or anything like that. Inside forwards, it is just a very simple, very basic formation. So if you're someone that is struggling in FIFA and you're kind of hopping between formation and formation, this is one of those formations, along with probably the 4-2-3-1 that I would recommend, are real good solid foundation formations to fall back on and then kind of try and explore from there. But this is a brilliant formation because it is so simple and so easy to use, yet it can be used in so many different ways. It can be used to play counter-attack with, it can be used to play high pressure with, it can be used to play long ball, it can be used to play possession, it can be used in lots of different ways, yet it is very simple to use this formation. Now, in terms of the tactics, this is the way that I like to personally use the 4-4-2. Now, in terms of defensive style, I like to always use a press. I've gone for pressure on heavy touch. I think one thing that I've came to experiment with formations, the later on that you get into the year, the less effective a press is. And the simple reason why is because people are generally better at the game later into the year. You've kind of learned what is good and people have better players. So with that combination of people being a bit better and people having better quality players, you kind of can't really afford to get a press wrong. And if you do get a press wrong, it does obviously leave more space. People have quicker players. People are generally a bit sharper in mind at this stage of the year. So those mistakes get punished a lot more regularly. And that's definitely something that I've noticed in the last couple of weeks to sort of 4, 5, 6 weeks, is when I've been playing on pressing formations, it hasn't been as effective. And especially when I've lost possession, I've been punished a lot more. So I've just gone for pressure on heavy touch. I think the 4-4-2 is one of the best formations to press in. So I still recommend playing on a press in this formation because I think it's one of the best formations to press in. Given that there aren't many options when you are the guy being pressed, there aren't many options to pass the ball between unless you go long into a central cam or something like that. In terms of the depth, we're going to pair that with depth on around about 60. Now, I didn't want to go too high with the depth, kind of coming back to the first point, whereas when you play on a press, you can generally get, found out a lot more easier at this stage of the year. So with a press, you've got to have a high depth, but you don't want it to be too high, especially at this stage in the year. So 60 is a very good number. At 65, I would say, is the upper limit. I wouldn't recommend going any higher than that. I think you're just going to be asking for trouble. Remember that you are only playing pressure on heavy touch. You are only going to press in certain scenarios. In terms of build-up play, I went for long ball. I think it's the most effective in this formation. Fast build-up isn't so effective because you don't have a cam and the left and right mids are quite far away from and not really involved in the attacking side of the game. So fast build-up doesn't work too well. Slow build-up can work well if that's the way you like to play, but I find long ball is super for this formation because generally the left and right mids, we push them forwards. So they do obviously act as more wingers, but the strikers, more importantly, do make, obviously having two strikers, I find as well, is far more effective for long ball because you've got two players making runs in behind, and naturally as a defender you can't cover both runs. You can cover one and you kind of need the AI to help. So long ball is especially more effective with two striker formations. So that is definitely something to bear in mind. In terms of the chance creation, I left this on balance. Now this is something that I've really flipped and flopped between a lot this year because I haven't found something consistently that works. Certain patches, direct passing is brilliant. Other patches, possession is really good. So I just think balanced is generally a very good place to be because it's the one thing that's been very effective all throughout. The certain patch changes and certain things that have changed. Balance creation, just more importantly, it just allows your instructions really to dictate, and that's more important for me. I want my instructions to dictate what my players do. If I'm on direct passing, generally it'll ignore all of the instructions that you set, and the players will kind of just make runs in behind, irrespective, even if you tell them to stay back. So balanced works super well on chance creation. In terms of the offensive width, we've gone for 60 because I do want the left and right mids to obviously run in behind, but I don't want them to stay too wide because that we are going to get them involved with the instructions, hence why we want the chance creation on balance. Now, obviously, in terms of the two strikers, we've got Lewandowski and Bellingham. It doesn't really matter what players I play. I change this up when I'm actually in the game. But we've got Lewandowski and Bellingham. Two strikers, of course. Both want to be on stay central. Both want to be on getting behind. Another little tidbit you can do, you can have your two strikers on stay forward if you prefer. This will make playing on a press far more effective because it means that your strikers will generally always be no more than about 5 yards away from your opponent's centre back. So when your opponent's centre backs get the ball, your striker is going to be right on top of them, able to press. So it's also a little bit more effective for the long ball because it means that your strikers will always be on the shoulders of your opponent's defenders. So having those guys on stay forward can be super effective. In terms of the two midfielders, both of these guys generally want to be on balanced attack as well. So really need some proper good box-to-box midfielders in here. Desai and Vieira aren't the best because they're kind of more defensive mids, because these guys are generally not going to be in too many positions to score goals, but these two players will predominantly get most of your assists. So you need players generally that have got very good passing and very good dribbling, because they're going to be in a lot of tight areas as well and playing a lot of through balls through to the front four ahead. So you need guys that have got good passing and good dribbling especially, and have them on stay on edge of the box just to be able to stop any counterattacks that do come your way. In terms of the wide players, we've got Quaresma and Oyarzabal. Now there's a lot to unpack here. Now we've got them on get into the box. This is very, very important because it's going to allow them to get into the box and just be another option to be able to score goals, because whilst the most of your goals are going to get scored by your two strikers and most of your assists are going to be by your two midfielders, these guys do chip in with goals as well. So you do obviously want them getting into the box. Of course, they're going to be on getting behind as well. And we've actually got the chance creation on free roam. Now I've got a video coming up very, very soon on this, which is going to explain more importantly how you can get the wingers involved and a bit more in depth with some good examples as well. But free roam is something that is very, very important, so I recommend doing that. Of course, the back four as well. In this case, you want the whole back four going to be on stay back while attacking. You don't want these guys drifting forwards. Now, a lot of people generally don't play with their fullbacks on balanced attack anyway, and this formation is not really relevant because even though the guys in front are on free roam, the rule is generally when you have width in front of a fullback, they don't need to go forwards. And especially at this time of year, as I mentioned at the very, very beginning of the video, most people I've got super high pace players for counter-attack. So you really can't afford to leave too much space for your opponents to exploit, because if you start leaving whole left side of your attack is completely gone. Let's say Yazbal drifts inside and Yuri is up at the top end of the field, you can't afford to leave that whole left-hand side of the pitch exposed. So you've really got to have this fullbacks on stay back while attacking in this formation. Of course, the goalkeeper generally wants to be on comes for crosses and sweeper keeper as well. So that is it for the 4-4-2 formation. Generally, I love this formation because of its simplicity. It is always a formation that if I feel like I'm on a bit of a slide, bit of a losing streak, this is a good formation, as well as the 4-2-3-1 to really drift back into. Just kind of find your bearings again, just kind of get some confidence back, maybe stop some goals, and just kind of being able to use those simple formations. Sometimes just playing simply is the best way to play, especially when you're struggling. And then when some of that confidence comes back, you can get back into using some of your more complex formations. But a really good formation for anyone that is struggling right now and just needs something very basic and simple to get them back into form. So that is it for today's video, guys. Also, we do have our Twitter account that I've just launched. Now, you can go and check that out in the description down below. We've got a link to that, so you can go and follow us on there. We're going to be posting a lot of things to do with gameplay, but also things to do with menu content, trading tips, also SBC tips, whatnot going forward. So make sure you give that a follow, and we're going to be super active on there. So all of your guys' support would be much appreciated. Make sure you drop a thumbs up and subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. But that's all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.